Hi everybody. This video is for people who purchased the standalone version of RMS Mix and want to export a custom edited version of their show. The point of exporting is to make your show version available to your cast and your production team so that they can use it on their iPhones and Android devices, tablets, and other computers. For standalone RMS Mix, we prepare a version of the show that's ready for you to start using as soon as you install the program. But if you purchase at least 2 weeks before your first performance, you'll get 1 week of editing time with our Sinfonia software, and that will allow you to make all sorts of customizations and edits, transpositions, cuts, volume adjustments, tempo adjustments, and so on, as well as sophisticated routing if you're taking advantage of a more powerful sound design. So let's get to it. If you're watching this video, chances are you've already purchased a license for RMS Mix Standalone. So the first thing I want to point out is that you don't necessarily need to download Sinfonia separately. It comes bundled with your RMS Mix installer. You just need to open it up from your applications folder, and you can find it under RMS Sinfonia. Here it is. The other thing to note is that you need to use Sinfonia on the same computer you use to submit the unlock request for RMS Mix. And when you do so, you should find that Sinfonia will unlock automatically. Again, this depends on purchasing at least 2 weeks in advance of your first performance. One last point about Sinfonia editing time. Your editing time starts as soon as we deliver the code, so please plan accordingly so you can take full advantage of the time you have. After you've done your editing to make the show exactly how you want it with all your transpositions, cuts, etc., and before exporting, you'll want to check the song that's highlighted. The way it works is the export will start from that song and then continue on down the list. So if you want to export the whole show, you'll want to make sure that the first song is highlighted. In my case, I'm going to do something a little shorter. I'm going to export just the last few songs. So I'm going to click on Bows, which means the export will start there and continue on to export the last 3 songs in the show. So with Bows highlighted, I'm going to go up to Tools and select Export to RMS Mix. I get a quick confirmation of the songs slated for export, and I'm going to click Next. Here I'm going to put in a brief description. This is important, especially if you're going to have a lot of different versions of the show. The description here helps you identify the show version when you're looking at it amongst a big list of shows. Calling it Last 3 Songs. Click Next, and the export begins. Okay, when we're done, you'll hopefully get a message like this one that tells you the export was successful. This means the content now exists on your computer specifically. But we're not quite done yet because we want to make this content available to everyone. So note the next sentence, would you like to upload it to the RMS cloud? This is key to make it available for everyone else. So we're going to answer that question yes, and then we're going to click Next. If you haven't already logged into your RMS account, you'll get a message like this prompting you to do so. And you can log in with your Facebook account or a Google account or with a custom username, email, and password. I'm going to log in with Facebook. Takes me over to a login process through the website. And finally, you should get a message like this telling you you're successfully logged in. I'm going to go back to Sinfonia. There's another confirmation dialog here that I'll click out of. And then your custom show content will upload to the cloud so that everyone else involved with the show can download it. That's pretty much it. From here, you can start using RMS Mix on your phones and tablets and other computers. Check out our website and other videos for more information about using these devices with RMS Mix. The first thing I want to mention is that RMS Mix can take 16 channels of audio grouped together or presented as 8 stereo pairs. So one of the decisions you're going to make is how to assign the instruments in your orchestration to the available channels in RMS Mix. Essentially what this does is defines what you'll interact with on the RMS Mix side, what volumes you can adjust or mute altogether, as seen here. I have Footloose loaded right now, and Footloose is an 8-member band with some doublings, flute, clarinet, etc. This works out pretty well for my 8-channel mix, but you might have something much bigger, something like Sound of Music, has a lot more instruments, and you have to make decisions about how you want to group them. It's logical to do something like brass, strings, percussion, etc., but you might want to do it differently. You might consider high-end instruments versus low-end instruments. You might want to put certain instruments on their own channel isolated from other groupings, for example, bass. These are all things you can adjust when you assign your instruments into the RMS Mix groups. So here's the process. I'm going to start by going up to the Tools menu, and I'm going to select RMS Mix Groupings. We start with a brief explanatory message, then click Next. Here we have the basic groupings, RMS Mix 1 through 8, and their labels. In this case, this is labeled to reflect the Footloose orchestration. It might say something more generic, in which case you type in what you want to define as your groups. For something like Sound of Music, you might change this to winds, brass, violins, cellos, whatever makes sense for what you want to do. To change a name, go in and click on it. I'll change this name here, this label from perc to percussion. Then we click Next. And in this window, we have all the instruments associated with the orchestration, including all the doublings, and what they're assigned to. This makes pretty good sense. Flute goes to reeds, clarinet to reeds, guitars to guitar, keyboards. Let's say we want to make a change. Suppose we want to take this non-pitch percussion and group it with the drums. I would just double-click on the assignment here and move it from percussion to drums. Click OK, and we're done. Now, when we export, we'll see those groupings we've defined in RMS Mix, and all the instruments assigned to those groupings can be handled accordingly. Before wrapping up, I want to talk about panning. Panning gives you some additional control over the way the export takes place. I mentioned before that RMS Mix can handle 16 channels, and that these channels are paired into 8 stereo pair. The panning will govern which of the 2 channels in the stereo pair gets the signal. To take a couple of examples, here keyboard 1 and keyboard 2 were center panned. That means the signal will be equally distributed across the 2 channels it's assigned to. But when we look at the reeds over on the left, we see that the tenor sax is panned pretty far to the right, and clarinet is panned a little less so, but also decisively on the left side. In these cases, with these instruments both assigned to the reed group, the clarinet would be coming out more on the left channel, and the tenor sax would be coming out more on the right channel. So if you wanted to put guitar 1 and guitar 2 onto a single channel called guitar, you could simply pan guitar 1 hard left and guitar 2 hard right, and that would put the two guitars on independent channels within the guitar grouping. Handling it this way would allow you to treat the guitars independently on a higher end mixing board.